Welcome to Vino with Vito. Let's not forget Nina.
Hi.
And today we have Victoria
Hi,
Soroka.
hi.
Victoria actually bought a house from me, but everybody always asks about New York City, Brooklyn, why people are coming out of New York City to come to the suburbs. So today we brought somebody that came out of New York City to move into the suburbs. So,
And she has a cool job she can talk about.
and she does have a cool job, right? But today we actually have a nice bottle of wine here. It's Paolo III, and this is from Castello di Olivetti.
Now, did this come from Italy?
It did come from Italy. Yes, it did. Here's a little pamphlet.
Did you
from
tell her
there.
to say that?
No, I did not.
He actually didn't.
I did not. And the great thing about this bottle of wine is I went to their winery, and I was treated like a king there.
Oh, nice.
I got a private tour from Katerina, who is one of the owners of the winery. It was a castle.
Wow.
Nina,
So
Victoria,
nice.
unbelievable. She brought us throughout this whole castle, the wine cellar.
How long were you there?
We were probably there for a good hour and a half, 2 hours. Nice. And then after all that, we got to eat. She even served us a lot of food.
Nice.
There was one room that we actually saw that had a pope actually stayed there. His bed was still
Wow.
there, and it was just,
Oh,
it
that's
was
cool.
crazy. And then supposedly there's a series out there on Netflix about the Medici family.
Oh, yeah,
from
I think
Italy.
so, yeah.
One of the episodes was actually filmed in one of those
Oh, that's
rooms there. And we
That's
got to see that
awesome.
room.
That's
so It was
awesome.
pretty cool, pretty cool. But that all being said, I need to open this bottle now, so I'm getting a little thirsty here. And I know you guys don't like when I open a bottle of wine.
Right,
while
we
we're
like to have
talking
you open it
beforehand.
But that's okay. It's okay. He grunts sometimes when he opens the wine.
See, we
Got to put some muscle into
There
it.
you go. So Victoria actually bought a house from me.
When?
How
long
about
ago?
a year and a half now, 2 years?
Yeah, February 2022.
Yes, so
Yeah.
it's about a year and a half.
So, how many offers when she put her?
There were a couple offers on her house.
I mean, it's a beautiful place. It's a gorgeous neighborhood. It's of course there were going to be like a million offers,
Yeah.
but we had the goat on our side.
Oh boy, the goat. I like that. Look at that. But and coming from New York City, right? Everybody always says, "Hey, there are a lot of people coming from New York. Why are you moving from New York to come to New Jersey?" And how's that transition for you? Leaving the city, coming into the
Yep.
suburbs, and
New York City buyers scare off New Jersey buyers when they used to see
That's why she got the
the
house.
license
No.
plate. But when we used to go to open houses and we would see New York license plates, my buyers would be like, "I don't even know why we're here. I don't know why are we even here. We're not." I'm like, "Just let's go." I mean, they didn't get it, but who knows who got it?
Well, what's really interesting is my husband is from New Jersey. I'm originally from South Carolina. I did a detour of a year in Los Angeles and then came crawling back to the East Coast with my tail between my legs. And then I was in the city for 13 years by the time we had moved. And I always knew that. Thank you. I always knew that when we wanted to settle down and have a family,
Thank you.
luckily Ryan is from, the North Jersey area. He grew up here, and every time we come to visit, I'm like, it's so nice. It's so pretty. Like, it's even closer. If I needed to drive home to my parents in South Carolina, you just hop on 95 and you
Right.
get there, or it's a 90-minute flight. And so there were a lot of factors that led us to New Jersey, even if we remove the part that was him being from here and his family being here and his friends and his network. But for me, it was, we both travel a lot for work. So Newark Airport, not far away, direct flights to my hometown. I love to tell people there's 3 ways in and 3 ways out of the city because you've got, you can drive. We take the bus from Willowbrook. There's New Jersey Transit. Worst case scenario, something happens, you just take the path to Newark, you get an Uber
Right.
home, right? Like, you have a lot of options in and out for public transit. And I think that's something that a lot of the other areas outside of New York City don't necessarily have in such a fluid manner, right? Like you can hop on the path just like you can hop on the subway and figure out your way back home. I don't want to say I think in worst case scenarios, but when your goal in life is to eventually have a family, you do have to kind of think that way. Like what if your family needs you? What do you do, right? That's always kind of like the go-to for us. So I always had a feeling we would end up in New Jersey. It was just a little bit of what made sense for the budget. Obviously, it's very expensive to live in New York. But we loved it, and it was a great time. And when you're young, you kind of have to have that. And I think for him, it was really interesting because he's like, well, do I want to move back to like the area that I literally grew up in? And, you know, it's easier for him to be like, I'm not sure. And I'm like, of course you want to move back here. This place rules. Like, why wouldn't you want to? But I didn't grow up here the way that he did. But it was a little bit of a transition. And I was mostly nervous about the social component. But you'd be surprised how if you just kind of like let yourself be open and try different things and explore around, like you'll meet people and you'll start to form your new social connections.
See, you met me.
Exactly.
That note, salud.
Cheers.
Wow, it's really good.
That is really good.
It is really good.
Very good. Castello di Olivetti.
That's really
Very
nice.
good. So, coming to New Jersey, you know, working with an agent, what did you think of me? I know your husband knows me, but again, a lot of times women rule when they're looking for a house. So it's like, you know, I've heard people, a woman one time fired a realtor that was a husband's best friend because he didn't do what he was supposed to do. Working with me, what did you think?
Well, this is just going to become like praise Vito.
Is he kicking you under the table?
No. But you know what I will say, and I actually don't know if you know this, but we had met with a different agent originally.
Oh, I did not know that. I did not know that.
Yeah, so we had met with someone else who was recommended through one of our friends who had bought their place in West Orange. It was a great deal. And they were like, you should just talk to her. So we did. She was absolutely lovely, but wasn't necessarily for us. We both work in very like high demanding client facing jobs. My husband's an agent. I'm a manager. We deal with people constantly. And so after we met with her, we were like, she's great, just maybe like not for us. And then Ryan reached out to you and we met with you and we're like, oh, he's definitely for us because we have like the similar mindset on things, right? Because you negotiate every day for a living and kind of so do we. It's just a different business. But what I absolutely loved about you when we started going to actual places is we would go into some of the houses. He'd be like, listen, look around. It's great, but I'm not going to let you buy it. And I'm going to explain to you why I'm not going to let you buy it. Like, here are things that I can tell are either like quick flips, or here are things I can tell are going to be larger issues, you know, down the line. Like, you always made it a point to be like, I'm not going to sell you something that's crap just to sell it and just make the commission. Like, I want you guys to like where you go. I want it to be a good deal, and I want like the bones to be really good. And so that really meant a lot to us, and of course like our parents who were also getting information for us or coming with us to some of these showings. So it was really valuable to know that we weren't going to be sold something that on the surface looked really nice, which is obviously something that you hear more and more about in the news now, especially in a post like COVID landscape of really quick flips and, really bad, shoddy work. And so it was really important for us that you always really, really cared about that.
The quick flips tend to look really nice in pictures.
Oh, yeah.
Really nice. And you walk in the house and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
It's just
and
not.
We saw a couple places that were like absolutely beautiful, but not maybe in specific neighborhoods that we wanted to be in, or and Ryan was so funny. He was like really nervous about looking in kind of like the Caldwells and Fairfield and all of these places because it was so close to where he grew up. But personally, I love the idea that one day when we have a kid, they're gonna go to 2 out of the 3 schools that he went to that he grew up in. Like, that's kind of nice.
And that goes to show, too, for Fairfield, our town, the West Essex area and everything, that people are coming back. My older daughter, naturally, Luciana, lives in Fairfield, bought a house. And my middle daughter, Victoria, she's living in Montclair now, just getting that out of her system.
You gotta.
Kind of like you were living in in the city. But she actually came back and said, Dad, I want to find me a house in Fairfield.
No one left East Hanover. Everyone I graduated high school with is still
See?
there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Their
East
kids.
Hanover's beautiful.
Which
It's
is
so
good
nice.
to
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about our towns
Yeah.
where, hey, people grew up here, moved out, got married, and bang, they're coming back.
You go to the
in.
high school reunion, and it's more people that you see all the time than people you don't see.
Yeah.
Well, and it also helps. The truth is, like, I genuinely like everyone that Ryan grew up with and that he still has friendships with. So that's also been nice because there's something very different about when you meet people who knew the people that you loved at a very young age. Like, there's just something so special about that because it just shows that they're the same person. And I think that that's also so much of what's driven, what I've noticed, at least in my very small amount of time here, is it's very community driven. Like, that is genuinely the vibe, which is also similar to how I grew up. Everybody looks out for each other. You know, you're doing business within the community. No one's trying to, like, do bad work for you because ultimately word of mouth is going to take you further. And that comes down to, like, electricians. And we did a lot of work on the house. So contractors and all of those things, because that's what's going to take it further. And that's what's going to bring more business.
And by the way, she asked for a couple of references,
And what
I
did he
said,
say? I got a guy. And his phone is Vinny Electric, Joey Plumber, Giuseppe Floors.
Yeah. No, but also every single person that he has sent to us, between, you know, the lawyer, the mortgage broker, when we were, and that was also another whole crazy part of the buying experience was, listen, we're noobs. So when we went to go do the mortgage, we were like, this is negotiable, right? And they're like, no.
I know. Well, it's hard because a lot of people do, and then they're in the middle of their deal, and then they second guess everything they're doing, and they go out and try to get different rates from other lenders, and whose friend just bought a house, they got a different rate, they used somebody else, they negotiated something maybe that wasn't on their contract that they're friends with, and you get all this information from so many outside people, and it is very stressful.
But every single person you suggested to us in that first time home buying process was really, really phenomenal at breaking it down, because now, like, we're in the world where we have a lot of our friends who are maybe flirting with the idea of coming to the suburbs, or maybe they'll wait a couple of years when, you know, their kid is kind of school aged, and we're explaining to them, like, oh, well, this is what they told us. When we sat down at the closing table, the attorney told us, he goes, with the interest and what you bought this place for, if you put down one extra mortgage payment every year, in and around the time that you originally bought the house, you will go from a 30-year mortgage to an 18-year mortgage.
Yeah, you shave off all those years, and a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
And
I
I
talked about that, I think, when Johnny was here, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, also before Ryan and I got married, I came in to our relationship with significant amount of student debt, and so I had to get, like, very early on, like, ready to get that stuff paid. And I know it's not necessarily realistic for everyone, but I figured out I put an extra $5 every week. I wipe out that interest. Then when I put in the actual payment, it goes towards the principal, and I paid it off in 4 years. And so it's like having all of that experience and then having the attorney tell us that, it was like, okay, we made a very smart choice when we made it, and now it's going to set us up not only for having equity in this home, but, like, for a really smart financial future as we do, like, want to have a family one day and all of those things.
Does that make you feel good that she loved everyone you referred?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's great. I mean, I'm glad because now, you know, everybody I referred her to, you know, it's part of everybody that I use. And I'm glad that, you know, they did take care of you and they did the right thing.
Well, and now my hope is to, like, go back and reuse everyone in a couple of years. You know, we have a goal of wanting to buy, you know, like a duplex of some sort, so that when we do have a family, my parents can come up whenever they want. They have a place to stay. Maybe we can rent out, you know, one of the other sides or something like that. It becomes income producing a couple years down the road, but that's going to be a possibility.
Right. The one good thing about those, when you bought, I think the rates were still, what, in the threes or? Twos. The twos. Oh, man.
Does that seem so long ago, but it really wasn't? It seems so long ago that the rates were that low.
Look, and she bought in 22,
It really
a year and a
wasn't.
half ago, and it was in the twos.
I know. I mean, I really, and Ryan hears me say this all the time because we spent so much time like doing work on the house, and we still look like weird minimalists. We haven't like finished furnishing it.
That's okay. I always tell people take your time.
Take your time.
Because you want to live in it for a
But
while.
I am so unbelievably grateful every single day that not only like we bought with you, we bought where we bought when we bought into a neighborhood that's been absolutely like a dream come true. We're best friends with our neighbors, and seeing the neighborhood also kind of shift with like younger kids. There's just so much power in that, and I feel really, really, I have a tremendous amount of gratitude for it all playing out the way that it did.
Great.
Even though we did look at like a gazillion.
It is.
How long did it take from the starting to look to the closing table? Not closing table, until you had an offer accepted.
Couple years, the gas prices were like $1.50 when we started, and they shot up to about $5.50. No, I'll let you answer. I'm just kidding.
Well, let's see. We got married, so we were one of the unfortunate COVID couples.
Oh.
So we had planned this like beautiful winter Valentine's Day wedding, had to postpone the whole thing. We got a beautiful summer wedding, and then after that, we kind of started really looking. That's when we had originally spoke to the first person. So all in, probably just shy of a year.
But when we looked at houses, though, I don't think we maybe saw 15, 20 houses.
Well, I know there were a couple of weekends that
You just went to open houses?
Well, we didn't go with you, but Ryan's parents.
That's right.
So
Yeah,
all in.
You guys weren't around.
Yeah, because that was also something that was difficult when we were trying to commute from Brooklyn. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes we had work trips, whatever.
And at that time, you can't take any time to go look at it. Like, if
Yeah.
the house comes on the market and there's
you
no,
gotta
on a
run.
Wednesday
Yeah,
or
oh,
Thursday
yeah.
and there's an open house on a Sunday, you have to see that house before the open house.
Well, and that's
or the next day.
And that's what happened with the house we ended up buying was...
You didn't even see
I
it.
didn't see it.
Oh, listen to this.
I
Listen to
would
this.
never.
But you know what's funny
Never.
is when...
Well, it depends on the house, I guess.
Well, when Ryan
And the realtor.
yes.
When Ryan and I moved into our apartment in Brooklyn, he never saw it.
So you got your back.
Yep.
Can you imagine that, though?
No.
I did that to my wife, though. I bought a house, went under contract, everything, and then...
Well, you
then I
like
told her, I
literally
said,
bought a
"We're
house
moving."
behind your back. At least you knew it was happening.
That is true. No,
And she probably saw pictures.
Afterwards.
I saw the pictures. He went and saw it first. I think he saw it twice. Once just him, and then once he took his parents back, and they were all like all in. So I was like, great. The next weekend, like, we'll go. But we had already put an offer in before I saw it.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
and we were
have
negotiating
to.
it. Yeah.
And it
I
was,
remember that.
I mean, worked out perfectly.
What did
then
you think
I-
did you love it when you saw
Oh,
it?
yeah.
Yeah, I remember when you walked in, you were like, wow, this is
Yeah.
everything I saw in pictures.
So
and-
was the offer accepted before you saw it, or you?
No.
No. Okay.
No. I mean, we'd hoped.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Crazy.
I don't know if I could do that.
No?
Well, you know, it's also wild.
Me?
No, never.
Is you've seen it now, but so we bought February 2022. We didn't really get to move in until July because we did a ton of work. So we like and that was another thing through the process is we would go into any house and we wanted a semi-open-ish floor plan. We were flexible, but I remember you would be like, "Oh, can't take that wall down. Can't take that wall down."
A lot of people don't know what you can do.
Exactly, and that was always really, really helpful. Immediately walking in, seeing a place, knowing what we could or couldn't do, because we did have renovation budget, but because most places you're gonna have to do a little something.
Yes.
Nowadays, and you have to be prepared for it. I have friends who are like, "I want fully turnkey," and I'm like, "Good luck."
It's very hard to find that.
Oh, yeah.
There's some, there's newer construction, but those don't come on too often.
And when they do, the prices are like
the prices
through
are,
the roof.
yeah. And some townhomes, like, that are 4 or 5 years old or possibly turnkey, but the reality is most aren't.
Remember that one we saw in Montclair?
Oh,
That was like totally renovated and all.
3
all
stories.
3 stories. They're like,
didn't
we
you buy
love it,
that
we love it.
one?
And I'm like, no, you don't.
No?
There were a lot
I
of
did.
factors.
Oh, all right.
There were a lot of factors, but it was beautiful on the
It was-
inside.
It was nice. It was
It
nice.
was really nice.
Was it old and it was
It
renovated?
was an old renovated house, yeah. But it was no bueno.
No.
at the end, she found a nice, beautiful house in Fairfield. She can walk up Hollywood Ave, go right to the park.
Can you walk to? Oh, so you can walk to his house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And we do.
They've come plenty of times. We're in the back. We open up a bottle
nice.
of wine. It's nice. It's nice.
It's really the best. And we just got a dog.
What kind of dog?
He's a little mix, a mix of like a lab and a beagle, and maybe a dachshund. Like he's got the face of a lab and a beagle, but he's got the body like a little wiener
cute.
dog. So.
Yeah, Nina's a dog.
I was just gonna say Vito loves dogs.
Yeah, I sure do.
I'm a dog person. So.
Michelle always says, she goes, when we came to your house at one time, like my dog, she barks when you first come in and then she's fine, right? Like she's loud and she barks, she doesn't jump, and then she'll just sit by your feet and she's fine. But he almost shit his pants when he came in my house.
It was a big dog.
She's 48 pounds. I don't think she's big
I mean,
at
ours
all.
is a little guy. He's a little
She's
guy.
like that
He
big. I had a
barely
golden
barks.
retriever, so like
Yeah.
that's my dog now is small compared to my golden retriever.
But
But she was good, right? She calmed down.
Nah, she
But it's
calmed
funny, I
down.
see him in our yard now, and I'm just like, oh, we couldn't have had this in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
That's right. See?
Couldn't have had this, and now he gets this beautiful yard to run around in.
Yeah.
It's
And if
so-
it wasn't for the realtor, she would have never had the beautiful yard.
Exactly. Well, no, and really, it's true. That house fit everything we
Everything we
needed
need.
because
Yep.
we're also talking about a very weird time in the world where, like, our company went fully remote. So I was like, well, I need a place in this house that's going to feel like a standalone office because there are days when I am on
That's true.
meetings for 8 hours straight. Like, I need something that feels, and there's literally a small office that almost feels like it's on the other side of the house. And it's like right by the kitchen, but it's so nice because this is just my
And at least you had
space.
someone to guide you, because a lot of times you have an agent just put in the highest.
Yeah.
What's the highest you can afford? Just do this, do that, and they just tell you what to do to get your offer accepted, but not worry about down the road.
And you never pressured us to go more than what we felt comfortable with, because that was the other thing. Coming out of COVID, the way that we did and the industries that we come from, we were very, very cautious. We wanted to make sure we were not overextending. And this is something that gets a lot of first-time buyers. They get their approvals, and they're like, oh, I can afford blah, 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 blah. And it's like, but can you?
Right.
And,
Like, are you factoring in all the other expenses or just your mortgage payment?
and are you looking at the property tax? Because that's something that that not a lot of people, and you did a great job about this, but not a lot of people understand when they're going into it as a first-time home buyer. Like, yes, you can look at what the list price is, but that's not always actually going to be accurate on what your monthly is going to be, because that doesn't include your insurance, it doesn't include the property tax, and so you have to, and in New Jersey specifically, unlike where I came from, the towns are, you could be in a million different towns within, 15-minute driving radius. So you really have to look at that, because there's a big shift between like a Montclair property tax, a Fairfield property tax, a West Orange property tax, but they're all within 20 minutes of each other.
Right.
And nobody explains that very well. I mean, you did for us, which is why, we landed in Fairfield. We got something great that we can like grow into, and not have to worry about, the starter home. And that works for some people, and whatever works for you, and you have to go by your own personal finances. But that was really important to us to be like, well, if we can't necessarily afford to furnish the whole thing for a while, that's fine.
Right. And circumstances come into play too. If you literally have nowhere else to go.
Yes.
And you have to find something. Sometimes the people just bite the bullet, and they know it's not good. They could refinance. They could, pay a little less as long as you have enough money to do it while you're there.
Oh, you're there, right.
But it was like really important for us to have a good amount to put down. It was really important for us to focus on the monthly of all of it, because God forbid something happens with the economy or your jobs. Like, we wanted to make sure we could afford something on one income, even if it was tight. Like, even if it was tight and there were no extra things, we would be okay. We would still have a roof over our head, and we would still have this house.
See, that's smart thinking.
Yeah.
That's
No, I had
a
clients-
lot of first-time home buyers would
They were
never
first-time
think
home buyers.
that way.
They're leasing, and they just said, you know what, we're going to take a step back. Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They could afford a very nice house with both incomes, but they were like, God forbid, one of us gets laid off. We're just going to hold off now. We're going to stay in our lease for now, and then we'll look when our lease is coming up.
And the other thing that came into play too, when you naturally you're buying in Fairfield, and everybody, Fairfield's a beautiful, great town.
Beautiful.
But in the whole country now, FEMA put a
Yes.
lot of houses in a flood zone.
They never get water.
They never get water or whatever, but they put them in a flood zone. You got to pay flood insurance. And the first thing you get from every customer, look, I don't want a flood zone. I don't want a flood zone. I don't. But when you bought your house, they had just put their house in a flood zone, just like my daughter's house.
Yeah. But I'm sure
And-
your husband knew about it, right? Because he was from Fairfield?
He's from North Caldwell.
Oh, he's from North Caldwell.
But they
oh,
use
okay.
West Essex High School.
Yep.
But we're looking at the town. We're looking at the house, and I said, "Look, I'm just gonna give you a heads up. They are in a flood zone now, but I know this street. I
Yeah.
know the town.
Yep.
You don't need to worry about it." And you guys took my advice and still bought the house. Yes, you're paying minimal flood insurance, but okay, everybody says it's a stigma, but not if they just put you in there.
Right, if they just put you in there, and if the owner has never had water.
Basin was bone dry. You
yeah.
never
Yeah.
saw any water intrusion at all. So
Well, and it also, even then, it still had, and these are all things that I'm kind of learning, but it had a sun pump and it had French drains. So even though they had never had issues,
They were
it was
prepared
still
just in case, yeah.
exactly. And I mean, the bad weather we've just had for
I
the
was
past
just gonna
couple of
say,
weeks,
yeah.
Ryan was like, that sun pump was going, but no issues.
Yeah.
yeah.
No issues.
Thank God that's why you have a sump pump.
Yeah.
And every new construction home that's built now,
Was it,
is a sump pump.
1996? What was the year that they had to?
I forget what year they did it, but from now on, any
It
new construction,
has
if
to
you're
have
on a hill, you're up on the top of a mountain, they have to put
I had a
sump
client
pump.
once that said, no, I don't want a house with a sump pump.
I guess you're not buying new construction.
Why? But
You're not buying-
his, I don't even know what his
But-
rationale
but-
was, but
but
he was
sometimes
assuming if it had a sump
Sump
pump,
pump,
you
you're
get
getting
water. You're
water.
getting water,
No.
but you want
It's
the
an
sump pump
insurance
to
just in
right,
case, right.
just in case.
You have an asset that you have to protect in some way, shape, or form. It's the same thing with getting the flood insurance. Even though I remember the reason why it got moved to a flood zone because it was a quarter of an inch of the basement was considered in the flood zone.
Right.
And I was like, I'll still get the insurance. It's fine. Because
Yeah.
what's the
Well, you
worst
have
case?
to if you have a mortgage.
Yeah. Well, also,
Yeah.
what's the worst case scenario? You have insurance that will help you with something if
Right.
something bad
and
happens.
if the insurance is when you divide it over the year,
Yeah.
it's really not that much. I mean,
Yeah.
well, it depends on where you are.
yeah.
yeah,
But
when-
if it's minimal and it's less than $1,000 a year, it's really not that much more.
But I'm also I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. So between hurricanes and
we
flooding
can't
and
tell by
water-
the accent or anything. No. Can you tell by that? I can't tell.
Southern Belle turned Jersey girl.
But I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's fine. But I mean, we're used to water, so it was or at least I am, which is funny because I have no concept of snow. I mean, obviously I do, but I was living in the city. I've never had a car. I've never had a house in snow. So I told Ryan, I was like, well, if we're moving to New Jersey, I promise I'm not stupid. I just don't have a concept of
Right.
shoveling a driveway. It's just not something that existed
Oh,
for
it's
me
so
growing
much
up.
fun.
So you're going to have to really help me. I'm going to have a lot of questions. I'm not really going to know what to do in some of these maintenance things with the house as it relates to weather, but water, bad weather, that sort of
And
stuff.
you want to make sure certain
Good.
things aren't blocked by
Yes.
impacted snow, that type of thing.
But I don't know. I didn't grow
Yeah.
up with it.
Thank God we
The
haven't
dryer
been getting a
vent,
lot of
right?
snow.
If that, you want to make sure that that's clear.
Yep.
Yes. Yep. The dryer vent, the rest it's you're going to be in trouble.
And now it's a year and a half in. We have all new siding. We have a new roof. We have a new kitchen. We have all these new things.
They went in and redid
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Were you still living in Brooklyn?
So we had an interesting scenario because during COVID, we had a wonderful landlord. I know a lot of people in New York would not have the same experience that we had. We had a wonderful landlord, and so he did lower our rent during COVID, and we stayed
Oh, that was really nice.
super, super nice. And then we were transparent with him. We were like, listen, we are looking to buy. We want to figure it out. Would you be open to letting us break our lease early? And he was like, absolutely, because he knew he was
now
going to
he's
rent
gonna-
it for double.
Yeah.
So he was very flexible with us and was just kind of like,
Were you on a month to month?
no, we had re-signed, were locked in for, I think it was, by the time we ended up having to break it, it was 6 or so months. But he was like, whatever, I'm going to get 6 months of higher rent, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
So he let us break it, and then my in-laws were extremely generous, and we stayed with them while we were doing the construction. But all of that, and we moved in July after closing. It was a leap year.
Yeah. It's not bad, though.
No.
3-4 months, and you're in, and you got everything brand new.
Yeah, beautiful. Now we've got 2.
Because it is hard to do the construction and
Oh,
all the
while you're
renovating while
living
you're
there.
living there. It's
Yeah.
hard.
Oh, yeah.
That you don't want to do.
That white
No, thank
dust
you.
never goes away.
No, thank you.
Oh, it's
hard.
brutal. It's
My
very
parents
hard.
did it. They just finished like their whole room and their primary bathroom. And I'm like, I don't know how you're doing it. I would be dying. Not to be dramatic or anything, but I would die.
Tor, you
It's
still
not
have
dramatic
some?
at all. Thank you. I like this wine.
It's very good.
It's
See,
very good.
Katharina, you did
Oh.
a good job. Look at that.
That's a
Paolo.
nice bottle,
Yeah,
too.
it's a
nice
nice
bottle.
bottle.
Yeah.
Let me see. I want to see the front of it.
What?
Okay.
Nice bottle.
My
You
uncle
know
used
what?
to paint, and
Now
I
I'm
thought
gonna put the extra in my
the
glass.
picture
It's
he
a nice
painted
bottle.
was just like that, but it's not. It's a little different.
I'll tell you,
It's
and-
like a guy that looks like that, but he's drinking a glass
He's
of
drinking
wine.
it.
And you know what's also really funny about this guy? So a couple of weeks ago, one of my best friends that I grew up with since the 2nd grade was here visiting. And Luciana and everybody invited us over, and we were like, oh, great. Like, my friend's in town. Let's go. And, of course, Ryan and I, the state of New Jersey might as well just, like, put me on payroll with how I'm always like, move to New Jersey. It's the best. I love it, blah, blah, blah. And so she comes to visit, and she's currently living in Austin. She's been in Austin for a while, but she went back to school, and she has been toying with the idea of potentially moving, you know, like Pennsylvania, New Jersey, whatever. But she has a horse, and she really wants to have kind of like a farmette situation. Like, that's her end-all, be-all goal. So we're sitting there, and then your son-in-law, TJ, knew someone in Wayne who had a farm, texted him. We ended up leaving your house, going to this person's farm, walking around. They weren't even there. They were like, yeah, just have whatever. We walk. She's like petting the horses.
In Montville. It was
Yeah.
Montville.
Oh, in Montville.
Yeah,
She's like petting the horse. We had the best time. And then, unfortunately, he was down the person who owns the place was down the shore. And he was like, oh, yeah, next time she comes back, like, I'll give a full tour. She's coming back in November.
Oh, are they looking to sell or
No, I don't
just
think
a
so.
visit?
But
Okay.
just a
I was like,
visit.
wow, that's really like
But she's like,
very lucky.
But she was
See, TJ knows a guy too.
Yeah.
Not just me.
exactly. I'm like,
I was worried about you. I'm like, how does it affect you?
everybody's got a guy, but I'm
Oh,
just.
thank you.
Yeah, I was like, hold on a second.
But it was so funny. She's like, I get it. Like, I totally get it. Why you guys love this? Because I always tell people, I'm like, 45 minutes from the beach, 45 minutes from the city, like 25 to 30 minutes.
As much
from
as I
Newark.
say sometimes I'm like out of here. All the
No.
time. I'm like, but
This is the best place to be.
It's
the
Isn't it?
seasons,
Yes.
like you said, the city. I love going to the city. The beach is so close.
You can't beat it. The mountains, once again, I grew up in the South. I don't have a concept of winter sports. Tried that for the first time last winter. I went skiing. My other friend and I, the ones who moved to West Orange, we were on the bunny slopes together trying to figure it out. And then his fiance and my husband were out snowboarding. And I'm like, I would have never done
Did you
this.
ski when you were younger?
Never.
We went. I did the ski.
Never
They used to
skied.
do the ski trips from school, and all
Yes,
of
that's what
my
Ryan always said.
friends were like really good skiers, and my family didn't ski. But I joined that, and they stole. I was supposed to do lessons because I've never been on skis before. They stole the instructor's punch card, and they punched my thing, saying I went through all of the
Oh,
lessons, and they took me to like the top hill. I ended up, my mother's like, we were 5 minutes into dinner, get a call. I fractured my nose. I went down the hill. One pole went flying. The other pole I had like this, and I was going down and right into the woods, and the pole came back. And
Oh my
My
God.
first day.
I was there like 10 minutes, I think.
My first day, I did this great lesson. I was feeling so confident. I get home that night, I'm telling my parents, pick an Alp. Where are we going? Like French, Italian, whatever. I'm like, pick an Alp. And then the second time we go, I got so hurt. I got a horrible concussion. And I was just like, all right, enough for this, but I'll try it again next. I'll
Yeah.
go back next season. I have to face my anxieties on it.
Yeah,
My
no-
parents
no
wouldn't let me
skiing.
go back.
Oh,
So you never went back skiing after?
But I got like, I had like the really cool coat, the goggles. Remember, they had silk thermals. It was like those paper thin thermals that my mother's like, paid
yeah.
a fortune for them because, God forbid, you look any bigger. You had to have the paper thin thermals under your snow pants.
Oh,
All
man,
gone.
to keep you warm.
Yeah.
Yeah, never went skiing. Never went
Warm
skiing.
and looking trim. You don't want to.
Oh, I forgot about the trim part. You can't just look like a
No,
big,
no.
You got to look trim. But so, Tor, tell us what you do.
Oh,
Since
okay.
you know what we do,
Yes.
and we figure we want to know what you do.
So I work in, to many people, would be considered very much a new age industry. So my husband and I met because I used to work in the music industry. I toured. He's a music agent. He had bands on the tour that I worked for. And then back in 2014, 2015, I pivoted to what was the very early days of the influencer industry. We now refer to it as the creator economy. But what that is people who have a YouTube or an Instagram or now a TikTok who have a very large social platform. I'm a manager, so my job with our clients is to help monetize those large social followings. And what's different from when I started was back in the day, I say 2015.
Last week.
Yeah. When Instagram was just in the beginning, if you had 1 million followers, you could just charge $25,000 a post, and that's just what it was. Now, obviously, a lot has changed. We have data, we have affiliate information, we have a lot of stuff, so it's not as simplistic as just you want this, you pay this. Now,
Are you
there's a
so
lot
surprised at
involved.
some people and how many followers they have versus the content they put out?
All the time.
I'm like, when I look, I'm like, I just don't understand how she's eating a carrot dipped in cottage cheese and mustard.
I know.
And now she's like buying a multi-million-dollar house because she sits in front of her camera and literally just eats vegetables and chicken sausage, and she announces it as she eats it.
Yep.
Chicken sausage dipped in cottage cheese and mustard.
Well, this is
Carrot dipped in cottage cheese and mustard. And she just sits there and
Eats
announces
it.
what she's eating, and she eats it,
And
she's
she's got
like
a million followers.
it's
Damn, I
it's
got to get to that 1 million followers.
oh,
We're
you'll
gonna eat lunch.
We're gonna eat.
Yeah.
We're gonna eat lunch while we're doing it.
Yeah.
Oh wait, but this is a night podcast. I'm sorry, it's dinner. We're
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
eat
yeah,
dinner.
No, I'm gonna eat lunch another day, not today.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
No, it's really fascinating. The industry has changed a lot. I mean, I was in it back when Vine existed, and we were monetizing Vine.
I
and
remember that.
Vine is gone, and Musical.ly was the precursor to TikTok. Musical.ly is
Musical.ly,
gone.
yeah.
So there's been and I will say the best thing about my career is it has kept me very nimble. You have to know what's going on and what's
yeah.
shifting at all times. But I now lead the department. I oversee 23 team members who are representing a total of 250 creators across all platforms and all verticals. So
You know how cool you're gonna be to your kids?
see, but I don't know if it works that way. I still feel like I'm probably going to be lame to them.
No, you're gonna be cool. As long as you're not on camera.
Yeah,
Eating
no.
Behind the
cottage cheese
scenes.
and mustard.
No.
Then you'll be cool to them.
Well, what's interesting is I have found myself the more that obviously I work on very much the business side. So I work direct with a lot of platforms when the algorithms shift. I work closely with a lot of Fortune 500 brands who are contracting and activating our talent. But it's funny because I find myself posting less personally, and I have to remind myself oh, you need to post on LinkedIn, you need to do this, you need to do that, because I'm constantly interfacing with content between all of the platforms, but I'm not personally posting as much. I think it's just a byproduct of the work, but I find that really interesting because I literally had a meeting last week in LA where they were like, you really need to be posting on LinkedIn more. And I was like, you're right.
We need to be posting.
But it's almost
more.
like the last thing you think of, right?
It
'Cause
is.
You're doing it
Yeah.
all the time. It's like the last thing you want to do.
Of course. But it's a really fun job. It's really stressful.
Sounds fun.
Um,
I think I'm going to switch.
there you go.
I'm gonna
Come,
switch careers.
come join me. We can wrap this
I
guy.
can barely post on Instagram.
But I think what's
I don't even know how to post on Instagram.
We actually did a cute thing. Remember when you did the we did the voiceover with the Godfather?
Oh
and you
yeah,
sat at
yeah,
your
yeah,
desk?
yeah, yeah.
I was able to
You
do
were able
that.
to
Yeah,
do
I was
that.
able to do that.
Yeah.
well,
yeah.
to be fair, we
now,
saw
now we have Chris that helps us out, and now we have Victoria that can help us
Well,
out.
we were at the fair. When was this? Like a couple of months ago, and we were sitting talking to Vito and his wife, and then he was like, "Sorry, I gotta go make a TikTok." I was like, "Okay, see you
You?
later." Yes.
Never made a TikTok.
Was it the one? Was
Maybe
it the house
try.
in Montclair?
Probably, yeah. That was the only TikTok I think I ever did.
It was
That was
a
a
good
nice
one.
house,
That was a
too.
nice
Oh, that
house.
was-
I remember that one with like the stained glass.
Yeah.
That door,
I remember
that
it.
That was a
giant
nice
front
house.
door that was like the size of this room.
Yep.
Oh my God, I love that
Beautiful.
house.
Yeah, that was a
Beautiful
really
house.
beautiful house.
Only stayed on the market, I think, a week.
Oh, I'm surprised
Yeah.
it stayed on a week.
Yeah. It
Well,
was
it's not for
about a week.
everybody. It was
No.
very like when you walked in, you had to appreciate all of
The architecture, the historicness or feel of
Yes. Oh,
it.
those staircases.
You know what?
There were like 9 fireplaces or something.
Yeah, you know what I appreciated most about that house?
The commission?
No,
Oh.
besides
That's what I would have said.
no, I went into that. I think it had what, a 4-car garage. Remember, it had the
Yes,
4-car
it had the
garage
detached with the
with the
loft or something.
right with the carriage house
Yeah, yeah,
over.
yeah.
I opened the garage door. What's sitting in the garage?
Old car.
A Ferrari 360 convertible with a gated shifter.
I don't know what that means.
With gated shifter means the old cars where you had the clutch and the stick
Oh,
shift.
yeah.
Oh, a stick shift.
Stick shift. Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't make them anymore.
I
That's the-
learned on a stick
Yeah,
shift.
yeah.
You
Anna
have to
did
pay
too.
extra now on it to get a stick shift.
You can't even get a stick shift.
Nope.
The Corvette, you can't get a stick shift. The Ferrari, you
Really?
can't get
If
a
you
stick
pay
shift.
extra?
No, they don't make them
They
anymore.
just don't make 'em.
That's
So now
crazy.
that car, because of that gated shifter, is probably worth $50,000 to $60,000 more,
Oh,
just
I'm
because
sure,
of the
Right, just because of that.
the stick shift.
Oh, I'm sure.
So I saw that car, called the owner. It's just sitting here.
Who wants this car?
Who wants this car? You really don't want it. He goes, nah, I think I gotta keep it.
Yeah,
Are you
yeah.
sure? But that's
right. Me, you, and Tammy did that open,
Open
house because the
house.
house was so,
So big, yeah.
People were getting lost.
I
Like,
believe
going
it.
upstairs. Yeah.
It was crazy. It was a nice house. And actually, the person I think that bought that house, they came from L.A.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it does make total
Yeah,
sense.
from L.A. They came from L.A.
But the
and
only
they-
thing about those old houses is the kitchen was the size
Yes.
of this table.
Very small. Not
Right.
open.
No,
very
but that's what it is.
boxy.
You wanted that butler's pantry, like back in the day, because you want to hide all the stuff. You didn't want people. Now everyone just entertains with
Yeah.
everything there.
Well, let me ask you guys a question. So obviously in what I do for a living, it's very like trend based, right? Like you're always seeing things from the 90s that are now resurfacing or whatever. In real estate, are you guys experiencing something similar where like trends in aesthetics in houses will then like pivot?
Well, yeah. What I see
Yeah,
now,
because
like
a lot of all that light gray came in and
Yeah.
stuff. But now people are now liking the dark trend, the old. Not everybody.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But people are
but you're starting to
appreciating
see.
it more.
You're starting to see like the tiles.
Yes.
Those are coming back like from the 70s and the 80s. I mean,
Wallpaper came back.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
made a big.
You go to these tile stores now and you look at the tile and you're like, what the hell is that? And then because I remember growing up
Yep.
looking at that tile, but that's what's coming back now.
Interesting.
All that tile and stuff. And people flipping houses that I see are starting to come back and putting these crazy tiles in.
Because I feel like
some
the
wallpaper, some
the farmhouse
wainscoting.
vibe is like I feel like
Farmhouse.
Slowly, yeah, that's
yeah.
Yeah.
And now I just heard islands are a no-go.
What?
Islands, really?
Yes, that was so. I had 2 people. I did Frank's open house on Taylortown, and that has an
Yeah,
island.
big island.
And 2 people came in. They're like, "Is it true that islands are like not popular anymore?"
Nah, you need an
I
island.
heard that. Why would you not want an island? It is
Right.
so
Functional.
functional and perfect. And you can have 2, you can have 3. Like it doesn't matter how many islands.
No.
Like I have
Islands,
2 in my house, and one's bigger on one side, and it has seats around it, and the other one's just for like where the stove and the sink are. And
Yeah. But your kitchen's the size of Cleveland, so that's why you got 2 islands or 3 islands. I don't even know 2 or 3. 2.
I don't know why you wouldn't want an island.
yeah,
you-
so
you
that threw
definitely
me for a
need
loop
that.
because I hadn't heard that and I haven't seen it because I feel like everything's still coming out with the islands or double islands.
What you are seeing now is though a lot of people are getting away from dining rooms.
Yes, I don't have a dining room.
Yeah.
I don't have a dining room in my
I
house.
took mine out.
Well,
no
we
dining room.
kind of switched the layout. There was a space in our house that was what the dining room was for the original owners, and we switched it to the other side so that it would feel like you would go from the kitchen to the dining to the living, so it like all kind of feels
Yeah,
like
so it
one
flows
space. Yeah,
better.
and then that space that was the dining room, we don't really know what we're gonna do with it yet.
See what Luciana did with it. She put a lot of plants in there, and Serafina and Carmelo's playroom. That's her dining.
I think that's what we're gonna do in the future. I think that's probably.
And I don't even have a kitchen table, like, per se.
You got two big islands.
Right, but the island has the seats. But I'm saying I don't have like an actual like big table, so I got shout out to Transformer table. Do you ever see a Transformer table?
I saw it in Costco
They are
3 weeks ago in Wayne.
Yeah, now they're in Costco. I got them before they were in Costco. But it is the most amazing thing in the world. It's just a console.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't even know. It's a console table like by the fireplace in there,
Right.
and you can get any finish you want. It's solid wood. The thing is so heavy, and you can pull it out. You can make a 4 to 12 people seating. You just pull it out.
Oh.
And and you get a coffee table to use. It's the same finish, and that's where you store like the extra. It's the most amazing thing. So we'll use that as extra seating
if you need to have 12 people.
Right.
Right. What we did was our kitchen is a real long kitchen. It was a kitchen that went into like a family room, but now we have the bump out for the family room. So we did the kitchen with the island, put our kitchen table where the family room would actually be. And then the dining room, we made another little like office and, put a couch in there with a TV. And then we have
because everyone hangs out in the kitchen. It doesn't matter what you do. We used to have a big table in our kitchen. Nobody sat there. No. I could put all the food on there. We used to have just a peninsula. So everybody would just stand around there, like 2 deep, 3 deep. I could put all the food, everything on the other side. They would grab it and just all hang out around the island.
Even like here, my nephew Michael, we just went to Italy. He just built. Over there, they don't have the houses like we have here, unless you're on the outskirts. But it's all apartments. He bought a double apartment and made it into one.
Wow!
But his it's a big kitchen with like a big. It's like a big island, big kitchen, and the same thing. Kitchen, living room. There's no dining room, no nothing. You walk out. He's got all these glass doors. You go outside. Let me tell you.
There's no mosquitoes there, right?
No mosquitoes.
Yeah.
I wanted those
mosquitoes.
doors.
In southern Italy, there were no mosquitoes.
I wanted
but
those
in
accordion doors when we did our kitchen, and everyone was like, "For what? You can't keep them open because of the mosquitoes and squirrels will probably run in, and chipmunks."
But the doors he had like all doors, the whole thing. You walk outside, and his terrace. You're up on the terrace. He was on the top floor, and you walked around the whole complex, and all you saw was the beautiful landscape. I got to show you guys pictures.
You take pictures?
I got pictures. I got a video. It was unbelievable. But then with the doors, besides the big doors, he had the little doors. You have a handle where instead of opening the door all the way, you just open it, and it's like a window where it just cracks like this.
Oh yeah.
So you get air in there. Now you want to use it.
They have a lot of those in Europe, right?
Yeah. Then you want to do that. Boom. Open the door.
Yep.
The screens. It's not like regular screens here. You pull up. They go inside. So they just go in. You want to go out. Boom. You put the screen.
Yeah.
It's a totally different.
Now what's big is all those hidden pantries, but the hidden pantries are the size of houses.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that on Instagram? Like, just this hidden door to the pantry. Which is like a whole other house.
It's like size of your kitchen.
Another stove, with another stove, dishwasher, sink, coffee maker. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, and so aside from the not having dining rooms anymore, are there any other things that you're noticing with buyers that they're now wanting that maybe didn't exist 5-10 years ago?
Well, I always say every time I take out a buyer and you're showing them houses, first thing, no master bathroom.
Yeah.
Oh, no master closet. Oh, no It's like, years ago they didn't exist.
But laundry room on the second floor is like a lot of people want that
right.
now.
A lot of people want that.
If
you got a 2-story, you want that. Right. But
and it's in now, like most of the new construction has
they
a
put it
laundry
up.
room on the second floor. We bought our house in 2004. It was built, I don't even know, I don't remember when, but a long time before that. And we had the laundry room on the second floor. And I loved it because I was like,
Yeah.
I don't have to I never have to put it in
Yep.
Yeah.
a laundry
Lug it
basket.
up and down.
Like, go up and down.
But then you have other buyers today where the laundry's on the second floor. They go, why is it up here?
Yeah.
Convenience.
Can we, but then they'll be like, can
All
we
the
put it?
closets where you're putting the clothes
Close.
away or up
here.
usually.
Can we put it back on the first floor? You can do
No.
whatever
If
you
it
want.
leaking though, a lot of people are afraid that if the washer leaks, you're gonna
Right.
get.
But they have it where now when they put them up there, they put a pan under
Yeah.
the washing
Yeah.
machine
Like
with
ours
a tube
was
that goes
actually
outside.
when we bought our, I
just
think
in
ours
case.
had carpet in the laundry room.
Carpet.
Yeah, and then we took that out and tiled, obviously, and all that. But yeah, we knock on wood, we never had a problem with it.
Good thing.
Yeah.
Good
But-
thing.
But I mean, even if you have a basement, right, and you had laundry on the first floor, that same fear of a leak would exist
Yeah.
into your
Right,
basement.
into
So
your
it's
basement.
just like
Because a lot of people like the laundry. So the older houses have the laundry room, like the colonials have. You go through the kitchen, on your way to the garage. There's the laundry room, and there's a door in the laundry room to go out into the deck. Right? Usually in the center, like the older colonials.
Yep,
And you
yep.
don't see that. You really don't see that anymore. But
No.
newer.
And the other thing you see in all these new houses now is just a big open floor plan.
Yeah.
yeah.
You walk in, your living room, family room, kitchen is all
That's
one
what sold
big
me
room.
on it. When we walked in that house, I was like, I want this house. I said, I'll live in the pantry, like the walk-in pantry. I'll sleep here. The stove, actually, no, it was the stove. I'm like, I want that stove. My husband's like, okay, we can get a stove.
Well, we
But I love my old
opened
stove.
we opened 2 walls to make it feel more open. But I was explaining this to somebody yesterday that when we did that during construction, and this is going to sound very corny, so just preface
not
that.
as corny.
We're first-time home buyers. We want to be here for a long time. So when we were in the construction, before they closed it, when they had to put the beam up, we wrote a letter to our house and we put it
Oh, no, people, that's not
in
corny.
there.
People do that all the time.
So that when they closed it in, that letter is in. Now it's like
I
in the
just-
foundation of our house.
Yes, people take pictures like of them as a couple, like
Yep.
when they were renovating and leave a note and stuff. So in that walkthrough I just did, they were like, I hope when we rip down these walls, there's a little note or something in there.
Yeah.
I found a note in the first house I bought in Fairfield. It was in the bathroom.
I think that's so cute.
I think behind the mirror, the medicine cabinet, and there was actually $1 in there with it. I forgot what the note said, but this was like 30 some odd
That's
years
so
ago.
You
funny.
didn't take it, did you?
I took the dollar. I went to buy
Bad
candy.
luck for the rest of your life.
Oh,
Well, we just wrote like our intentions, like what we
You were
want in
supposed
the
to. Were you
house.
supposed to add $1 to it?
was
oh,
I?
For the next owner?
I might have. Who knows? Let me
Well,
call
actually,
that
your life,
house.
your
sold
life
two-
is going pretty good. So
Yeah.
I think you're okay.
Yeah, I think you're good. Nobody told us to put $1 with the
dollar in there
note.
either, I know.
No, a picture I saw.
We gypped the next people.
I just figured if you found $1, you're supposed to not take it. You're supposed to add $1 for the next one.
Today during my walk, you know what I found? And I actually stopped and picked them up.
$1?
2 pennies.
Oh, two.
Two. I found one on one side, one street. I kept walking. I found another
That's
penny.
about right. I could, yeah.
Everybody was looking at me, cars driving by. Look at that guy picking up a penny. Damn
Well,
right,
now
I picked up a
you
penny.
gotta go play the lottery and use those pennies,
pennies
to scratch
rub,
off,
scratch off those tickets.
Yeah.
See? But
and then split it with us.
Yeah.
I've definitely split it with you guys. but I'm so happy you came.
I know, this was
Victoria.
so
I'm
nice.
so
Thank you
happy.
for having me. No, I know we've been
No,
talking
no.
about it, so this was fun.
Victoria came over to one time with her friend from Austin, Texas, and she's like, I want to come on, Vino with Vito.
yeah.
And then I said, let's not forget about Nina.
Nina.
She started laughing, but no, I'm just kidding. But no, I'm happy you came. And her husband, Ryan, greatest guy. Like I said, I remember when he was a kid.
And he was friends with Luciana, right?
He was friends with Luciana, and I remember they had a big group of friends, and I'm sure, and those friends still hang out
Oh, yeah.
together today. And they would come over, and they would hang out in the backyard. They would, they'd always have a designated driver, everything. And I'd go outside, and Luciana was like, "What are you doing, Dad?" I'm like, "You're not feeding these people." She goes, no, they're fine. I go, what do you mean they're fine? I would take the barbecue grill cover off. I turn on the grill, making burgers, dog, whatever we had. And everybody was like, wow. And then all of a sudden, Luciana goes, see, now they always want to come to our house.
Jaden is just like Luciana. He doesn't like when I do that. He's like, why are you doing that? When I go to so-and-so's house, they don't. I'm like, all right, that's just me. Like, that's just my mother did it. Anyone that ever walked into our house, she offered them some kind of food, wine, beer. Some water wasn't in back then. So
it was wine, beer. They were 12 years old. Just like when we were in Italy, like, 12 years old, having beer.
Bottled water was like a thing when we were younger.
It was like Capri Sun, like.
Nah. No bottled water. Right, it was the hose.
Yeah.
She used to drink out of the hose.
Here's a juice box.
And wine. That's what she had.
But
always, like, anyone worked at our house, she'd order them lunch. Like, anytime anyone ever came over to our house,
my parents are the same way, too.
Yeah.
Which
is nice.
Or when I was growing up, friends would come over and my mother would give them something to eat. But, Ma, they ate already. No, they didn't.
Yeah.
They ate. No. Let them sit down.
It's like offensive if you don't take the food.
I'll make some pasta.
And I used to, like, sometimes my friends would come over because we lived right next door to the high school. So sometimes we just walk right over. And then my mother would be making dinner. And then she's like, oh, you guys want to sit? Yeah. And then she'd be eating, like, Cheerios. Because it wasn't enough because she didn't know I was going to bring three people for dinner.
Yeah, and that's how they always did it. They give everything up.
Oh, yeah. And she never made it seem like she was, like, missing out on something. No, there's plenty.
Yeah. They always did that.
Always.
I remember we always had a garden growing up. I don't think if I ever told you the story about the garden. Too. And it was a bunch of us all, young kids. Had to be 10, 11 years old.
Is this the hot pepper story?
Yeah, the hot pepper. Did I tell you the hot pepper story?
Obviously, if I just said, is this the hot pepper story?
Okay, then I won't tell it. I'll skip the hot pepper.
No, you can tell it real quick.
Yeah, I don't know the hot pepper story.
Real quick, tell her. So the kids would come in the garden. Oh, you guys have a garden. What are those? Those are peppers, Yeah. And they're like, oh, they good? Yeah. So growing up, I knew which peppers were sweet, which ones were hot and spicy. So I would take the sweet one, and I'd give them the spicy ones. I'd take a bite. All of a sudden, you son of a bitch! And all the kids would just start running. There's nothing worse
than, like, a hot pepper that's too hot.
Oh, yeah.
They were brutal. But, no, it was a good time growing up. The kids today, everybody's on the phone.
It's just totally different.
Totally
But I will tell you, last night, I took our new dog out for a walk, and all the little kids in the neighborhood are, like, out with the parents riding their bikes.
Oh, I love that.
And so I was out there, and then, of course, they see the dog. They haven't met him before. They want to play with him, whatever. And I just sat there and was like, this is just, like, so nice and wholesome, right? And our neighbors are expecting their first kid, and that's just what is going to eventually happen. And there's something very sweet about that. It reminds me how I grew up. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it reminds Ryan about how he grew up. And there's just something about that community-driven aspect of it that I don't know if we would have totally had in the city, but even though
you would have never had that.
We're having it now. We're building it now, and it's really, really nice.
My granddaughter, Serafina, all she does is she loves dogs. She'll sit in the driveway and watch people walking by. Woo, 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 and she'll run after the dog.
I texted Luciana. I was like, she's got a new friend now.
Yeah.
I saw her walking with the 3 acorns. Luciana posted, like, running after the squirrels.
She was running after. She was chasing the squirrels. She says, "You're going after my no."
Yeah.
And she's going after the squirrels in the park. I was loving it.
She's the cutest.
She's adorable.
Thank you.
Love them. But yeah.
Well. My wine's done.
Mine's not. Yeah. Sorry.
But
I've been too busy yapping.
I know.
Okay. That's what you're here for.
Now you got to drink. Well, on that note, one day, and that day will come when you need to buy or sell a house. And when that day does come, you need to call the godfather of Northern New Jersey real estate, Vito Cantuzzi.
And when he doesn't answer his phone, wait until the 5th ring, listen to his voicemail, because it'll connect you to me.